Coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin by way of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Birthed by the great state of South Carolina is the Bryant Land Country Podcast. Your place for any and everything in hunting, fishing, sports, and outdoor related, with heavy doses of randomness, guests, and an all-around good time. Here's your host, proud Gamecock, South Carolina forever, AB3.
All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in, downloading episode 35 of the Bryant Land Country Podcast. The BLCP rolls on. Man, we got a great show for you this week, but I got something that I want to touch on before I introduce the guest this week. I love it when you guys send me feedback, messages, thoughts, anything that you have, like takeaways from the show or our Instagram page or Facebook or anything that we put on social media. So I have one here from Instagram from a fella named I Am Adam Mims. His Instagram name, I Am Adam Mims. Great name, obviously, to start with, but he sent me a message and I just want to share it with you guys. He says, man, you have no idea how happy I am I found your page. I'm from Iowa, but have lived downtown Los Angeles for a better part of the last decade. Have always wanted to hunt, but never knew anyone or took the initiative to get going other than taking the hunter safety class. Felt like an outsider being a black man and only seeing and hearing about white hunters, plus I couldn't get any of my boys interested. Anyways, I finally got my license and tags this year and have my first solo deer hog hunt planned for Labor Day weekend. Finding your page has me hyped. I'm excited to get caught up on your content and see what I can learn. Appreciate you, brother. Well, I appreciate you back, Adam. Thank you for taking the time, sharing that with me. I mean, you have no idea, like stuff like that really means a lot, because there are a lot of times that I wonder if people are listening, consuming our content, if our content's helping somebody, whether it's answering a question or just being entertaining. So to get a message like that, it's really pretty cool. And man, let me know how that combo hog deer hunt goes, where you're going, and take plenty of pictures. Make sure you tag us on at Official Bryant Land on Instagram. And man, just let me know how that thing turns out.
Bryant Land.
All right, by now it's been well documented that I took a trip to Orlando a couple of weeks ago and went to a podcast convention. And out of that podcast convention came out a lot of knowledge, came a lot of just networking and talking to people, but I also got 2 interviews. The first one you heard last week with Pamela Smith, LPC, from the It's All Mental podcast. You heard her right here on the Bryant Land Country Podcast. If you didn't listen to that, make sure you go check out episode 34, Pamela Smith, LPC. And then this week's guest is also a result of the podcast movement convention. Amber Smith is the guest today. And it was funny because I was standing around just kind of taking it all in, and she was at the Pandora booth, and she was trying to get me to sign up for Pandora. Now, I don't really use Pandora for my music or podcast needs, but I was like, all right, whatever, I'll sign up for it. And we got to talking, and she asked me what my podcast was about. And I told her, Bryant Land Country Podcast, we like telling stories, having a good time, hunting, fishing, shooting, outdoors, ATVs, all that good stuff. And her face lit up when I told her that. And I was like, why? She was like, well, I'm from Louisiana and I used to love to fish all the time with my dad. So I was like, really? Tell me more about that. Matter of fact, wait, let me get a microphone. Let's set up a time. I'll get you a microphone too, and you can tell me more about it. And she said, okay. So we sat down, we found a quiet room, got away from the hustle and bustle of the podcast movement convention, and we talked about 25, 30 minutes or so about her time in Louisiana and just going out fishing, having fun, talking about a little hiking, and just her experience in the outdoors. So we are going to, or I should say you guys are going to get a chance to listen to that. I'm going to hit record and roll sound, and here is Amber Smith on the Bryant Land Country Podcast.
Bryant Land.
Man, sitting here at the podcast movement 2019, my first time at this convention, and I'm fixing to walk away with 2 interviews.
Hey.
Interview number 2, sitting across from me is Amber Smith from Pandora. Can't really remember what your title is. It's important, but I didn't bring you on.
It's not even important.
I didn't bring you on to talk about Pandora because these conventions, I know you've been getting hit heavy industry.
Yes.
So the first day we met outside the booth, we were just kind of chatting it up, chopping it up, talking, and you said you was from Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
And I said, okay.
Uh-huh.
And where from Louisiana?
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
By way of Clinton.
Now, where's Clinton? I'm not familiar with Clinton now.
Clinton is the country.
Well, I'm from the country. I grew up in the country, so that's nothing new for me.
Red dirt.
Okay, yep. I grew on a dirt road in South Carolina, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
Where, so how far is that from Baton Rouge?
Oh, about 45.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
45 up the road.
Nice. So Baton Rouge, we get to talking. I love Baton Rouge. I've talked about Baton Rouge before on my podcast.
Hey.
When I used to go to LSU and do games down there. Used to go to the seafood joint down there. There's all kind of restaurants and stuff. Love Baton Rouge. Love the food. But yes, Louisiana. Even in New Orleans, when I was doing the NBA, I still love the food and stuff
Best food
going
in the
down
world.
there. I think so too.
I just had to put that in there. It's literally the best food in the world.
I agree with you. I agree with that. So talking about Louisiana, talking about Baton Rouge, you're like, asked me about the podcast and I told you what it was about. And you're like, well, I used to fish.
Yep.
And I was like, wait a minute, you used to what? And he was like, I used to fish. And then, so we got to talking about fishing. So I wanted to talk to you more just to find out about it. Obviously, with my podcast, I love putting to light Black folks, Black women, Black men that do stuff in the outdoors. And when you said you fish, I was like, that's a win-win. So you got to tell me about that. What's your fishing story, so to speak?
Sure. So I didn't start fishing until I was like 19. I think that's the first time I went fishing.
Okay. With?
My godfather.
Okay.
So my godfather does like an annual trip like down the bayou, gets a captain. We go out on the boat. We go out in the bayou and fish.
Yep.
And I was available this year. So I was like, oh, yeah, I want to go. And he always takes the girls. Okay. So it's like him and all the girls, all the girls in his family. So we haul down. We have little cabins, everything. And I'm like, fishing, okay, we'll see, whatever.
Right.
I have no expectations, but I'm open.
Yep.
And being out on the boat with a captain, just like out, I'm a water sign, so maybe that's why.
Okay.
But like, it's so meditative and it's fun. Like, I did not expect fishing to be so fun. And maybe like I got lucky or whatever, but my first time out, I caught 5 fish. We ate them for dinner. We brought them back, filleted them.
Yep.
And it's redfish. If you don't know about redfish, like redfish is bomb, good. Like, and it's really empowering also. When you do activities like this that like connect you to earth, connect you to your ancestry, connect you to, your ancestors. Like I'm bringing dinner home. And it's an element that allows you to disconnect, find patience, connect with the water, like you and the fish got to work together to get the fish on the boat. Like that is a lot harder than I expected too. I thought it was just like, oh, I'm going to crank my thing. Like, no, I needed help.
It's funny that you say that because I don't know about like you and the fish being on the same page because I think the fish are obviously trying to get off.
Okay,
but check this out though. This is where I'm going with this a little bit here now. We went on a fishing charter out in Lake Michigan.
Okay.
Me and my son and my daughter. And, we caught a great amount of fish. Matter of fact, when we finish, I'll show you the picture. But there were a couple of them that were literally fights. And between my son, and the way it happened, it was like, he caught one, and once he got it in, they stretched it out, whatever, measured it. And I forgot the length it was, but it was
big old fish.
Trout and salmon. And so maybe like 10, 15 minutes later, I caught one. And so like if his fight was like 10, 15 minutes, mine was like 15, 20. And
wow.
like all of this.
Yeah, okay. It takes a lot of strength.
All of this in the shoulders and stuff. And I mean, I work out, I lift weights, I'm not a power lifter or anything of that nature. But all of this here burned.
Yes.
15, 20 minute struggle. And people think, you know, you just go out there, you just toss it in the water, put a worm on the hook. But I mean, this was a very organized deal here, like the way they had it set up and like the specific baits and all that stuff.
Yes.
So I'm with you on that.
Thank you for talking about the physical aspect of fishing, because I don't think that people think like, oh, this is a really deeply physical activity.
Right.
Like, no, when that fish is biting you, you're putting your whole body into it. And you ain't gonna lose a fight after all that, right? Like, fish, you getting on the boat. I'm sorry.
Right. It's something in you that kicks in that makes you was like, okay, look, this is me and you.
Right.
You know, mano a mano. And there was a couple of them that got off. Maybe I like, snatched it too quick or whatever.
Right.
But that fight, like you said, to bring the fish in. Another thing, too, that you said that was interesting to me, I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's like the whole Louisiana, Arkansas deal. But I had a guy on that's from Arkansas. And he's very, I admit, I'm a surface level person. Okay. But just like having conversations with him, what you were saying about like the water and like the earth and just like tying all that stuff together, when I talk to him, he's on a whole nother level with this hunting and fishing thing. It's like he has me thinking about stuff that I don't normally think about.
That's the best kind of people to have around. So, expands your perspective.
It does.
Yeah.
It helps you learn.
For sure.
So, all right. So first time you fish, you caught 6, you said?
5.
5. Okay. Cooked them up, got them together. Do you remember how you cooked them?
Okay. So it was still like a girls' trip. So we were a little bougie.
That's all right. Glamping.
Yeah, exactly. So Captain John took us back, and he had a area where he filleted them.
Yep.
So we didn't do that process.
They did ours on the boat. Like the guy went, he filleted them, and then whatever, like the, leftover or whatever, he's throwing them out. So we had like seagulls just like coming in.
Flocking.
Yes.
Dinner.
Yes.
But look at that. You fed yourselves and the seagulls.
Yeah, we did.
Good karma.
Giving back.
Good karma. Yeah. Circle life. Amen. But yeah, and after that, we went back. We had cabin. So he cooked them in the kitchen. We made that. Veggies. I don't remember everything we had, but I remember like the taste of a fish that you caught is like 10 times better than what you get at a restaurant, because you caught that. Like that, and like that's another thing, like tying it back, like wow, like it's like a physical manifestation of like the fruit of your labor.
Right.
You get to nourish your work, nourishing you literally.
Yep.
So that was really cool. And that's like a really cool thought, especially in a world where we do so much consumption. Just the act of like pulling back and going in like, okay, I caught only what I needed to consume for dinner. Like it's a really beautiful thing. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So that was your first time. What was it like after that? Like, did you go like many more times after that?
It was a yearly trip.
Okay.
It was a yearly trip. And I would look. I haven't been in a few years now because I don't live down south anymore.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, truly, I go back a couple times a year, but I haven't been back and had a fishing trip.
Yep.
But it's something that I would always look forward to. Like anytime I think of fishing, like my whole world lights up. You saw that, yeah?
I can see.
Like
that,
I got excited.
Yeah.
I get excited to talk about it and like think about like that time, because it's great. It would be just us and our Godfather. It's obviously the act of fishing, but the bonding.
There you go.
Yeah, like I said, you're disconnected, so you're having real conversations, you're bonding, you're creating memories,
right? And
learning a skill that's like essential. Like it was essential to many people's survival.
It's a fundamental skill of survival and of life.
Yeah,
and like you said, there's a reward when you go out and you do it yourself, and you bring, like you say, you bring it back, you cook it and stuff. That's something you can't really...
Spiritual experience.
Yeah, you can't beef with that.
Spiritual experience. Yeah, no, really though, it's nourishing all around. Like my fishing trips, I think of them as nourishing.
Okay.
Yeah, like I get to disconnect for a while, reconnect and nourish and like bond with my people.
And that's because you're all the way up in New York City.
Right.
So you have to get out of there now. Yeah. Being in New York, I mean, obviously there's water, and I know there's pretty good hunting up in upstate New York. So you've done nothing in New York, like fishing, outdoorsy, whatever, concrete jungle?
I've skied.
Okay.
So I've done like that kind of thing. We, when me and my friends, we do like a ski trip.
Okay.
Well, I've only been on one of them, but we're probably going to do another one this year.
Okay.
So I've skied in New York. I do a lot of hiking. I do a lot of that and hiking into New York and Pennsylvania. Anywhere I go, I try to do something outdoorsy. Like I'm a mountain person. I love the mountains.
Okay.
So like last year we went to Denver and went to Breckenridge and did hikes there. I was talking to somebody last night about like on my bucket list is to go out to Wyoming and go to Zion National Park because it's just stunning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know Wyoming, one of the things for me, the turkey hunting in Wyoming is supposed to be pretty good.
Ooh.
And I've turkey hunted in Nebraska and in Kansas. So Wyoming is one of those places where I want to go as well. The hiking thing, I haven't really gotten into. I mean, you do some hiking when you're hunting, going into your, into your stand or your area or whatever. ATVs?
I've done those on like a Caribbean vacation.
Okay. How is that? Because I know what ATV riding is here, like in the States, in the South. Like I always tell people, I've sunk my tires in Georgia and Florida, Tennessee, Texas.
Yeah.
What's that Caribbean ATV experience? Like, is it, what's that about?
So I did it in Curacao on a trip, and it was incredible because you see parts of the island you don't see on foot or in a car. Yep. So it was like we took a 5-hour ATV tour, and you're seeing like beaches. We saw beaches that you can't like really get to in a car or like you can on foot, but like you just see a different part of the island, and it's like you're riding, right? The wind is in your hair. You feel powerful. Right. Like it's really fun.
And
it's
mud,
really fun.
Like mud
and you get
embankments?
dirty as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really sad because I dressed cute because I had no idea. It's my first time, and there's like mud everywhere. You're filthy. Right. But it's something that's like feels powerful and empowering. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
It's groups, right? It's not like a single, like you riding the trail. So you kind of got to like, you can't really like tear it up as much because you got like a line of people. Is that?
Well, I mean, we had like a small group, and like there was areas where he was like, do your thing.
Okay. Oh, so you got a guy, you got a trail guide with you?
Yeah, a guide. Okay. He'd be like, this is the like where you can like do your thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because see, like here, like in the States, like most ATV parks, you go, you pay your fee, and then they give you a trail mat and they turn you loose.
Right.
And they kind of do it, and I've never been skiing, but from what I understand, they do it like skiing. So like blue is like the beginner, like a blue diamond is like a beginner trail, red, intermediate, and then like a black diamond is like the hardest trail.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so the public areas, they have areas that ORVs, they call them off-road vehicle areas. Okay. And some states have those. And those things, it's almost like the Wild Wild West. It's like you go and there's a trail map where you check in. Yeah. And then good luck, Godspeed.
So when I lived in California, a lot of people did dune buggies. Like at the sand dunes.
Yes. I want to do that.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Really?
It just looks crazy. I mean, it looks fun, but like I've seen so many people flip.
But see, I'm a four-wheel guy. You put me on an ATV, put me on a side-by-side, I'm good. Like dirt bikes, anything with 2 wheels, leave me alone. But 4 wheels, turn me loose. So like the dune buggy thing seemed like that would be really cool.
Yeah, you're right.
So, okay. So, wow. So you're outdoorsy, hiking. So what's the farthest you've hiked?
The farthest I've hiked?
Like in one sitting, like how? Okay.
So in upstate New York, there's a trail called Breakneck Creek. Wow. Almost broke my neck.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and like me and my girlfriend went like one Saturday morning, we're like, let's go hiking. Yeah. And so I heard of Breakneck. I thought it would be cool. I got my little Skechers on and my workout gear, thinking it's going to be a regular hike. No, sir.
So you're all about, just real quick before you finish, you're all about being cute when you're doing this, right? You just don't...
No, not necessarily. No, I said Skechers and workout gear to tell you how unprepared we were for what type of hike we were doing. Okay. Like I needed hiking boots and tools. Yeah, like we got up to a certain point. I'm rock climbing in Skechers. And I'm like looking down like, there's no way to go. Like, you gotta make it. If you fall right now, you're about to die.
Yeah, you just gotta keep going.
Yeah. That was the context for it. Not to be, I mean, being cute is great also, but like, it's the context of like, wow, we were so unprepared.
I got you.
But that was a crazy sense of accomplishment. Right. Because like, I would look at Breakneck Creek and be like, I'm not experienced. I can't do that, but I did. Yeah. But I did. Right. I didn't die.
You're still here.
And like, I feel like that's like a life metaphor that I think back to, like, you made it on Breakneck Creek. Like, you could do that. Yeah. But yeah, that was probably like the scariest and longest. And we got lost in the woods on our way back. So having to figure out and find your way back, like with like just trail markers after getting off trail for like an hour. That's something too. Yeah. But I feel like Breakneck Creek was like my longest, toughest, mentally, physically, but also like probably most fulfilling. I don't think I'll ever forget that hike.
What was the mileage? Did they put like a mileage on it, like 3, 5,
Look,
or whatever?
We got lost. I mean, I think originally it was supposed to be 6 miles to the top.
Okay.
And then, 6 miles back down.
So 12 round trip.
Right.
Gotcha.
But I don't know how much we did because, like I said, we went off trail for a little bit. We got turned around for a good hour. But we made it out before dark, so.
Let's see, and that's the key thing, because like going back to ATV ride, when you're on those trails, I see guys that, there's signs, especially like at the parks, the ATV parks, there's signs that say clearly, don't deviate from the trail, because a lot of them, they're in the woods. So it's not like, just this little paved like trail or gravel trail or whatever. You're out there in the woods, and I'm seeing guys, watching them go off trail, and then when I get back to, the camp or loading dock or whatever, they're like, where's such and such? Some bitches out in the woods somewhere.
Oh, my God.
Eventually, they get back, but it's just like, if you can stay on the trail, but then sometimes you're going and you think you're going to go left and you're looking at the sign, and then depending on the speed you go and you kind of get yourself turned around and you got to get yourself back. My dad always told me, it's one thing I've always carried with me, landmarks.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether it's like a tree, a sign, or whatever. He always used to talk about, making mental landmarks. And that's one thing, even when I'm out in the woods hunting or whatever, that's one thing that's always stuck with me. So get out there, make those mental landmarks.
So can I ask you a question?
Should you?
Okay, since you've spent so much time doing outdoors and like doing all these outdoors activities, I'm gonna get deep on you for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Like, no, no, like I think of like hunting specifically, like preparing for a hunt and like, like I just fresh off Lion King, seeing your prey and like doing these things so intentionally and so logically and stuff. What do you get from that? Like, how does that like?
And for me, it's relaxing.
Yeah, so tell me.
It's relaxing. I like being outdoors. It's funny, I was just talking about all of this yesterday. I was interviewed on another podcast. And a lot of people, when you say hunting, they think it's, you're just going out, you're just killing and whatever. But it's a process, like the preparation, the scouting, making sure, you got, things kind of pinned down as to where these animals are going to be.
Right.
And then once you get out there, either if it's on an evening hunt, like specifically deer hunting, if it's on an evening hunt, when you go out there in the afternoon and then you watch the sunset, or early in the morning when you get in the tree line, whatever you get into, and then you see like that sunrise and you just basically hear like the woods come alive. Like as the sun is going up, you can hear, like the owls hooting, the squirrels, and then like stuff going through the trees, birds chirping, like all that stuff. Like it's just, especially when I'm by myself, it's so peaceful.
It sounds like a heightened sensory experience also, because like you have to be listening, looking, like all this stuff too, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because I never really thought about it like that as far as like the senses, but it does, because like when you're out there, especially like the places that I go that they're, way off on the beaten path, there's no trucks going by, there's no ambulances or whatever. Like it's literally quiet except for whatever's going on out in the woods. And then so you're listening and it's just like, okay, wait a minute, what's that? And then, what's this and whatever. So, yeah. And like I said, I never really thought about it like that, but yeah, it does.
Yeah, like when
your senses are at a higher level. And I think a part of that too is because you don't have like all the other noise to block that out. So.
Steve.
I don't know about that, but it's a great time.
Because I think of like this heightened sensory experience, the adrenaline of like when you're close.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't imagine in the sense of like, oh, I did it.
That's why I bow hunt, and nothing against.
You bow hunt?
Yeah.
What?
Deer, hogs, turkeys, bow hunt, and then ducks, geese, and turkeys with a shotgun.
So you the Hunger Games out here.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, not people, but like I'm just thinking of the bow and arrow part.
Yeah, but to me that's fun. And then there are people that use what's called traditional bows, so trad bows. I'm a compound bow guy. Compound bow has a little bit more gadgets and gadgets to kind of. If you're pulling a traditional bow, whatever you set that weight at, like if it's like 60, 70 pounds, you're pulling 60, 70 pounds, whatever it is, or whatever it is.
Wow.
You 40, 50, whatever it is. Compound bow, they have what's called let off. And so when you pull back and say, like, if your bow's got like 85% let off, my draw weight on my bow, I think it's like 60 pounds. But by the time I reach like a certain cycle, whatever that 85% of 60 is, it's down to like 15 or whatever. So it makes it easier. I like bow hunting for the simple fact that the sole purpose to me of bow hunting is to get as close to the animal as possible. Whereas like as a rifle, you know, you can shoot a deer 100, 200, 300 yards. With a bow, you're talking about 15, 20. Like on deer, hogs, 5, 7 yards, depending on how you're doing it, whether it's like with dogs or whatever. And then turkeys, if you do it right, 5, 10 yards. So they're like it's intimate. So that's why I like doing it. Yeah.
But that's even like a crazier sensory experience. And you have to have like an amazing amount of control over your whole body and this bow and everything, because you're creeping up on something like, what?
It's you against an animal whose whole life is based on survival. Right. So, and I was saying this yesterday, like for deer, think about it. You got to beat their nose. You got to beat their eyes, because their smell is out of the world.
Okay.
They don't see color, allegedly, but the movement. So you can't be doing a lot of fidgeting and stuff like that, because they'll pick you off moving before they even get close. And then like you're sitting there and going back to the senses when you're quiet and everything's quiet in the woods and you can hear them coming through, and they have a sense of like something's not right, and they start stomping and snorting and blowing. And to have a deer behind you 15 yards or whatever it is blowing behind you, I mean, it sends chills through your spine.
What?
Same thing with turkeys. Like one of the things with turkeys is people call them thunder chickens.
What?
Because when they're close, like close, and they hit that gobble, you feel it right here in your chest.
Wait, break this down to me more, because I feel like I would be terrified of a turkey.
No.
I feel like I really would. When they hit that gobble, how do you hit that gobble? What is that? What is that? Like what?
They're coming in, like the hens, they'll put around a little bit, but like a boss male gob turkey is I don't know if I can even do it justice, but it's like, and like when you see it, you can see like the veins and the blood vessels and stuff in their head, and their neck is like all extended out.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And
I'm like bug-eyed right now, y'all.
She is. Her eyes are like wide open. So I would say at some point, even if you're not like into hunting or don't think you could ever pull the trigger or anything like that, just as a person who likes outdoors, I would advise you to go just out on a turkey hunt or even go, like there are a lot of photographers that photograph wildlife, and they'll sit in a blind, and instead of hunting with a gun or a bow, they're basically hunting with a camera. So they're out there like taking pictures and stuff.
Wow.
I would advise you to do that at some point, because once you do it, I think you would enjoy it.
There's a particular type of hunt that I want to go on, but I think you're probably going to make fun of me.
What's that?
Truffle.
Truffle?
Truffle hunt.
As in like the candy?
The mushroom.
So, for real, there are people.
I know.
Like, that's a thing.
I know. And I love, like, okay, I'm a weird girl, but I have a real passion for mushrooms. I'm an herbalist.
Okay.
And, like, mushrooms, and they're different medicinal properties.
Yeah.
And I love, like, eating them. So, like, I love truffle. Oh, my God. So just the idea of, like, I was like, if I ever go to, like, France or Italy, like, I'm going on a truffle hunt.
Sure.
Going on a truffle hunt.
Well, I mean, that like I said, and I didn't even know that until I kind of got into this, because I only really got into this, like, 4 years ago.
Oh.
Like, I've always wanted to own an ATV and ride ATVs, and then kind of after the ATV thing died down after a year or so, it was just like, okay, what's next? Because I don't golf, and I was kind of out of the video game phase.
Okay.
So it was like, what's next? And so I started with a bow hunted, and then it was like, okay, I think I want to duck hunt. So I got a shotgun, and then started duck hunting and goose hunting, and now it's year round. I'm trying to find something to hunt, depending on the season or whatever. So, but the truffle and the mushroom thing, is a big deal. Another thing too, that's kind of a little bit to me off that beaten path, like with the mushrooms, is the what they call shed hunts. So every year after the deer season, the bucks, they shed their antlers. So they just basically they just fall out, and then they just grow another set.
Sir, excuse me?
Yeah. And so people...
They just fall out?
Yeah, they grow, because it's a bone. The antler it's a bone. So like every year they shed, and they just basically drop them like on the ground. And
That's
some people,
wild. I had no idea.
Yeah, people go out and I don't do it because it's just not my cup of tea. But
right.
some people take dogs and like the dogs,
try to find them.
Find them and stuff, and then they'll grow back the next year.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, it's and that's the thing. It's so many different activities that you can do.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that you're an outdoorsy type, that's awesome. I know we got a little bit of a time restraint here, but at some point down the road, I would love for you to come back and we just get into a longer form conversation. Would you be open to that?
Sure, for sure.
Awesome. Are you a big social media person? Do you kind of want people to follow you?
Sure, you can follow me.
All right, so drop all your social media and all that 411 so people can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Amber, AMBER, C Smith, SMITH _. And that's probably where I'm the most active.
On the gram?
Yeah.
You got a big gram following?
I got like a medium-sized gram following.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 digits?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an industry girl. I know you.
Oh my gosh. No, but on Instagram, I post my radio work, and also I'm an herbalist. I don't know if I said that before.
Yeah,
So I work a lot with plants and plant medicine, and kind of like describing how you can find healing.
See, that's what I want to get you back on and talk about, like the herbalist and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Amber, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Bryant Land.
All right. Once again, shout out to Amber Smith. Thank you for taking the time coming through on the Bryant Land Country Podcast to share some of your stories. It says in her Instagram profile, storyteller. So we want to get her back on here down the road so she can tell some more stories. Had a great time just talking to her. It was really short, but as you can tell, we had a lot of fun. And like I said, I can't wait to get a chance to get her back on again. Now, before I get ready to get up out of here, I just wanted to drop the 411 on BryantLandCountry.com. BryantLandCountry.com. Everything Bryant Land has our merch, has videos, of course, has all the podcasts. So make sure you are checking out BryantLandCountry.com. Thank you again for coming through, listening, supporting everything Bryant Land. We certainly do appreciate it. And we'll catch y'all back here next week for another episode of the Bryant Land Country Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Bryant Land Country Podcast, hosted by AB3. Please leave us a positive review and 5-star rating on iTunes. Be sure to check out our podcast section on our website, BryantLandCountry.com, for previous podcasts. Check us out on Instagram at Official Bryant Land and Twitter at 3BryantLand. This has been an AB3 Media production. Join us next time for another edition of the Bryant Land Country Podcast.